Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Family Sedan channel. Inside source confirms that there will be no Ripple and SEC settlement on December 15th, which is the rumor that's been widely circulated within the XRP community. Now, I put out a video literally yesterday morning, and I was covering this news, and I noted that most of the theories out there about settlement, or the rumor circulating that it's going to happen on so-and-so date, the vast majority of them, I just kind of roll my eyes and I don't even bother talking about them. And I'm glad that I haven't for the vast majority of it. I talked about the one a month ago when Fox News reported falsely that there was some sort of settlement deal. Of course, I was going to talk, that's on national television, duh. And then I talked about this one yesterday, and this one was also a no-brainer because this one had its roots with a comment from Charles Hoskinson, who, of course, is an Ethereum co-founder and the founder of Cardano. He noted that he had heard that, there's from his sources, which again different than the typical person's sources. Let's say, heard the rumor that there was a settlement already, arrangement already made, and that it was basically going to be announced on December 15th, so just a few days from now. And even at that point, I said, look, maybe it's true, and I'd feel like an idiot if I didn't cover this and it ended up being true, but I did state in that video literally yesterday morning, I said, this is probably not going to be the case. I really doubt it, because again, it is just a rumor, and in terms of the timing, this and that. So I made my case as to why, so I don't want to go through all that again. But ends up, we now find, because of an inside source, there's definitely 100% chance, or as close to that as possible, not settlement between the SEC and Ripple, and I'll explain why we know that. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a legal or financial background of any kind. I am not offering legal or financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. And so here was one of the headlines from You Today covering this. Ripple lawsuit rumored to be settled this December, Cardano founder says. And he said, quote, and this is from a Crypto Basic article now, he said, "I've heard rumors that the Ripple case will be settled December 15th, and we'll just see. And that could have catastrophic implications for the industry one way or another," end quote. And I'm not going to do a full breakdown like I did yesterday, but I'll note when he said this again, I was thinking a number of things. So if he's hearing rumors, again, his contacts are a bit different than yours and mine. So, maybe take more than one, maybe 2 whole grains of salt, or maybe 3 if we're getting greedy. 3 grains of salt, maybe, when digesting this information from Charles Hoskinson, because it's not just some random person on the internet, just saying a bunch of crazy nonsense. This will make your ears perk up. And when he was talking about how it could potentially have catastrophic implications either way, well, again, I don't want to do my full breakdown like I literally did yesterday in terms of why that may be. I'll just note that, if there is settlement for Ripple, great for XRP. If that happens, though, I'm still worried about the roughly 30 other cryptocurrencies that I hold. And for any other coin you hold too, I don't know why you wouldn't be worried about those still. Because those are still potentially under attack from the SEC, right? And even if there wasn't settlement and we get some sort of good ruling, positive for the industry, maybe that changes the SEC behavior to some degree, maybe. But it doesn't mean that they won't still try and sue all sorts of coins into oblivion, Not necessarily. So, it still matters. And I think it would have an impact on the behavior here. But there's a lot of ways to slice and dice this thing. And so we ended up finding out, thanks to Eleanor Turret, who is a Fox business journalist, that this is a big nothing. So I don't know who Charles Hoskinson heard this from, but he heard some nonsense that it turns out isn't true. And that actually, she reported for the first time at 1:30 p.m. Central, I think it was, let me check. Yeah, 1:30 p.m. Central Standard Time yesterday. And so I published my video, I can't remember exactly. It was probably like 7 or 8 a.m. And then just like several hours later, it was 5 or 6 hours later, whatever it was, then she reports that it wasn't true. And I appreciate that. And, you know, there's been all sorts of stuff. So obviously, Eleanor Turner, being a journalist working at Fox Business, she's got all sorts of connections, including people at Ripple. This would not be the first time that she would have reached out to Ripple. And she didn't cite who the source was here, but I'm assuming it was some contact at Ripple, and kind of setting the record straight. And Attorney Deaton wrote to her and also said, in part, Ellie's sources would know before anyone else. She says not true. So I'm willing to take that at face value, because I don't think if she reached out, you know, if say it were true, I don't think she'd get the message that it's not true. If anything, there would be a no comment, in which case I'd be like, okay, I think it's true. or more likely if they have a no comment, but they're actually literally saying no. So there we are. And then there was also a tweet from Procoin News who wrote, who retweeted that from Eleanor Terrett and wrote, "This is a very bizarre thing for a journo to tweet. Not true is very different from unconfirmed. Different from and not equal to unconfirmed," is what Procoin News wrote. And then Eleanor wrote back to that and said, "Our sources close to the case say there's no truth to the December 15th rumor, as they did with the November 15th one." So there you go. Again, I like I said yesterday morning, before we knew, I still didn't think that there was actually going to be settlement then. But again, it's Charles Hoskinson. You got to talk about it. It also led to this, though. Charles Hoskinson, he just picks the stupidest fights that he possibly can. My God. So here's a headline from You Today. Cardano founder slams David Gokhshtein for spreading fake news about Ripple case. Input-Output CEO Charles Hoskinson lashed out at cryptocurrency influencer David Gokhshtein in a recent tweet, accusing the former of spreading fake news about the court case between Ripple and the SEC. So I'm just going to show you, rather than read the article, here's what they actually were talking about. So David Gokhshtein wrote the following, and he tagged Charles Hoskinson in this, mind you, and he said, and he does have a lot of followers too, like on Twitter. David Gokhshtein has 704,200 followers. And he said, apparently Charles Hoskinson believes Ripple will settle their case by the 15th of this month. Brad did state that he wouldn't settle unless there's clarity. And Charles Hoskinson didn't seem to like that, and he responded with the following. He wrote, "Stop spreading fake news. I said I heard rumors. This is not the same as believe." And so David Gokhshtein simply responded with this, or for a second, I'll make it full screen. He responded with the definition of the word seemingly. The definition of the word apparently, which means seemingly. You know, so as far as someone knows or can see, basically. So seemingly, meaning that when David Gokhshtein wrote, apparently Charles Hoskinson believes Ripple will settle their case by the 15th of this month, what that means is, if you look at the definition of the word apparently, it means that seemingly to David Gokhshtein, Charles Hoskinson believes that. Seemingly to David Gokhshtein. He didn't assert that Charles Hoskinson does or does not with definitively believe something or not believe something. And if you just look at the way he wrote it, David Gokhshtein in a tweet later wrote, if I had tweeted, Charles Hoskinson stated Ripple settled and will be announced on the 15th, I could understand the concern. Exactly, but David Gokhshtein didn't write that. He wrote apparently, which means seemingly. So from David's perspective, seemingly, Charles Hoskinson believes it. He didn't say that he knew for sure that Charles Hoskinson believed that. And it's reasonable for David to have suspected that. And look, I didn't pretend to know, and I didn't even mention that in my video yesterday, so far as I recall. I don't think I even stated whether I thought Charles Hoskinson believed it was true or not. It was kind of interesting to me that he just it's interesting to me that he didn't say, he just said the news, but he didn't say that he thought it was true or not true. So the fact that he'd cite it, but then he wouldn't go out of his way to say, okay, here's the rumor, but I don't think so. Well, that will lead people to suspect that it might be the case that Charles does believe that. And so that's why the reason I'm breaking this down, it's like Charles Hoskinson doesn't seem to understand how the English language works. And David's right. That's if you look at what the word apparently means, he's right. It just is the case. It's just Charles Hoskinson. He picks the stupidest damn fights, and he doesn't ever admit he's wrong because he's never wrong. It's just kind of annoying. I just lost a lot of respect for the guy after the crap when he was saying that the XRP community was, coming up with theories about Hinman and this and that. The whole thing about the grand conspiracy, this and that. He was clearly in the wrong. I went to the trouble of breaking down in great detail on Twitter and on my YouTube channel the series of events, how it unfolded, what he said verbatim. I put the writing on the screen, transcribed everything to prove, beyond the shadow of a doubt, that Charles Hoskinson is wrong. He will not admit it, though. He will not. He just keeps saying the same crap over and over and over again, and then he says that we're making up stuff, So I wanted to take a moment to just highlight that as well. But anyway, suffice it to say, the most important part of this is to take away is that there will be no settlement, at least not on December 15th. If there's ever a settlement in the future, which still could happen, it will have nothing to do with what Charles Hoskinson said the other day. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the Moon Family Sedan.